Hi guys, it's me again. As one person rather kindly identified me recently, the Monty Don of the guitar world. I'll leave that one with you, you can take it as you like. If you're not in the UK and you don't know who Monty Don is, he's a gardening guy. Old bloke does gardens, old bloke does guitars. Similar thing, there you go. Hi, I've even got a cup of tea rather than coffee, like Ramon for his coffee thing. I've been really excited. I chucked up those two videos last week, one about the Gold Strat and one about boost pedals, and the numbers were fantastic. They've encouraged me to do another video about the other guitar that's arrived here during the week. This was not an intended purchase, it just came up. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about a couple of clever little accessories that I also picked up last week in the post for very little money. So first off, the guitar. This is it's about 9 years old, I think, so that'll make it like a 2014, 2015 kind of thing. It's a Squier Cabronita Telecaster. Now you probably can't see from this range, but the guitar hasn't got a scratch on it, a nick on it. It's basically brand new. When I was setting it up, there were still bits of polythene coating film, protective film, coming off things like the pickup screws and stuff. So it really is almost unplayed. There's no wear on the frets at all. Acoustically, if you can hear it, it's got a really nice ring to it. Story is that Fender introduced Cabronita guitars some years back now, 10, 15 years back. Really clever idea. They stuck a pair of Gretsch Filtertron pickups on a slab Telecaster with a hardtail strap type tailpiece, so adjustable 6 positions, but it's basically a telly body with a couple of Gretsch pickups in it, volume and pickup selector only. And they came in 1 and 2 pickup variants. And the ones that I played at the time, I thought, wow, these are really good. But they were custom shop. And they were like three grand plus then. I wasn't really in the business of paying that much money out for a new guitar. I was still buying vintage stuff in those days. By the way, you will have noticed for the regular viewers that the blue ball is back, partly because it's good exercise for me to sit on it, and partly because you get the fun of figuring out if the old bugger's going to fall off it this time or not. Okay, so welcome back to the blue ball, a previous star of Bob shows and Bob and Ramon shows. Right, back to the Cabronitas. So I was really impressed with those guitars, and so was the rest of the world. The reviews they were getting were really good, some good players used them. It turned out that the idea of putting a pair of Filtertron pickups on a Telecaster chassis was a marriage made in heaven. You know, like everyone's trying to invent a new twist on the electric guitar these days, and most of them are pretty crap or derivative, in which case why wouldn't you just go out and buy a Strat or a Telly or a Les Paul? Occasionally, either by good management or by luck, somebody gets it right and does a good one, and the Cabronita was a good one. So custom shop Cabronitas, 3 grand plus. Then Fender got in on the show a couple of years later, and they produced one of theirs at about the £1,600–1,800 price point. I didn't play one of those, kind of lost interest looking at something else by then, but whatever, that was that. And then later on they produced a Mexican one, and the price point came in around, I think, just sub 1,000 UK, something like that. Didn't play one of those either, but then lo and behold they introduced one by Squire. This one's made in Indonesia, whereas the gold guitar I put in the last video, the gold modern Strat, that's Chinese. And you can tell by the neck profile and the finish, this is a little bit older, because this isn't quite so sophisticated as that Chinese guitar, which is made this year. This is, as I say, about 9 years old. Anyway, this is the Squier Cabronita. These originally, they went on the market for no money, sub £300. But there weren't many of them around, and I always kind of looked at it and thought, you know what, I'd love to mess around with a Cabronita, and if I can get a reasonable Squire chassis for no money, if the pickups are okay, fine, but if they're not, I know plenty of people, I'm not going to give any more pickup shout-outs in this video, but I know plenty of pickup winders who could knock me out a pair of fantastic pickups. So, why not? Anyway, then I, let it lie like I do. And I was grazing the web the other day, just after I'd taken the gold guitar in, and lo and behold, one of these comes up in a shop called Guitar Bits in Bath. Nice little shop, just round the corner from Vintage and Rare, which is a shop most of you will probably be aware of if you're in the vintage market. V&R is quite a high-end shop. It's shutters across the windows, it's by appointment only, etc, etc. Whereas Guitar Bits is a regular guitar shop, the doors open, office, working hours. Really nice people. Phoned them up, asked them about this guitar, how is it worth me driving down to Bath to have a look at? I'd rather have a look at it before I buy it rather than get you to ship it and then go, nah. Just the way I work. I had the time, so I had a nice little day trip. Very helpful guys. They restrung it and set it up and fettled it before I got in there, which was nice of them. And played it for a couple of minutes, didn't even plug it in, didn't need to. As long as it's nice, plays nicely and it's lively, I can do whatever else I need on the guitar as I wish. So I brought it home, gave it a bit of a better setup, well, not a better setup, sorry, that's unkind. A setup to my exact preferences, so neck relief a little flatter, action, lazy old me, lower, mucked around with the pickup pole piece heights a little bit. One of these things these guitars got a lot of criticism for when they first came out is the alignment of the strings and the pickup pole pieces. That they're often just not very well made and they're a bit askew. This one isn't too bad. It's very slightly, is it? Maybe ever so slightly leans towards the treble rather than the bass, but that actually suits me because I usually set my pickups lower on the bass side, so no problem. Regular Clusons, regular slightly round Telecaster neck. It's got a lot of goop on it, so it's not my favourite finish. It's very glossy and a bit slippery. And I mean, one day I might change that. These are called Fidelitrons. They're Fender or Gretsch's, who's Fender now own Gretsch. They're the latest iteration, the cheap, budget iteration of a Filtertron pickup, which is itself kind of small, high-range humbucker type affair. So what you're looking for here is a bit more twang, a bit more brightness than you're going to get out of the Gibson humbucker kind of thing. And then literally a volume control. By the way, this was a 250k pot inside, which made the guitar sound quite dark. So I just slipped in a 500k pot, took about 5 minutes with a soldering iron. And then you've got pickup selector switch. You've got no tone control. So the inherent tone of the guitar is quite important because you've got no tone control. Yeah, you can do things with the amp, but on the fly, you kind of want the right tone coming out of the guitar. So I've taken this guitar out to gig twice since I've had it. First time under slight adverse conditions, a jam, and busy, chaotic, not great amps, not great house amps. And it sounded fine, it got heard, played through, and it was nice to play. And then yesterday I took it out to a much better affair with my good friend Jake Zeitz, who is the prime mover in a band called Blues Shaker. Sometimes his son Artie Zeitz plays with him, and these two guys, father and son, are fantastic guitar players. They don't need someone like me hanging around, but they very kindly indulge me from time to time. So I went down to play with Jake and his musicians, Oscar and Jamie, yesterday. They're really top flight guys too, proper, working pros. And we swung along for a set of blues, and this cut through like a telly, but different voice. Great sounding guitar. So I started out actually in the middle position, It went onto the neck and then finally onto the bridge. I'm using a copy I've made in my Boss Multi-Effects of Ramon Goose's Goose pedal. So I had a little bit of boost on there, but it's a clean boost, and that's going into this Trainwreck clone that I've got sitting behind me. So there's some nice gear behind it, but this is a £249 guitar. And it plays great, and it sounds great, and you can take it to gigs. What more can I say? It doesn't have to be, you know, you're watching a huge guitar snob here. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you pick the right chassis and you know how to set a guitar up, or you've got a friend who does. And back to my point in earlier videos about, you know, if you gave me a fixed amount of money, what would I spend the bigger part of it on? And the answer is invariably the amplifier. Even though the amplifier is the square boring box that sits behind you and the guitar's the glossy sexy thing we all like to fondle in shops. An average guitar with a great amp is going to sound better than a great guitar through a rubbish amp. There's no question about it. Now, as an addendum, I've got a couple of other things to show you. Something I bought recently. I've got quite a lot of guitar straps. You do, don't you? You collect plectrums and capos and guitar straps and stuff. I've got lots of them. But what happens over time is, of course, is that the hole in the end of the strap gets a bit worn out, and suddenly you find you're on stage, maybe with a bit of a posh guitar, and it lets go of the button, usually at this end for me, you know, if you're swinging about a bit, and suddenly you're kind of swaggering around on stage and falling over, and guitar's trying to drop itself on the floor. Occasionally you can even drop the guitar, and if that's a vintage guitar, it drops on the floor. Well, fuck that. So I love locking straps, but obviously I don't want to start drilling holes in and putting those great big strap locks that are like meat grinders onto guitars and all that stuff. So they're out of the way. Years ago, I found this company over in America that did this rather clever thing that sort of has a little bit of metal that folds around behind the hole in the strap and sort of secures it, and then you secure that with Velcro. And they're really good, but just one catch with it, and that is that the little thing that holds it is always on the same side of the strap. So if you're using a Telecaster or a Les Paul, then the strap is that way. But if you're using a 335 or a guitar like that, or a Junior, then you have to have the strap twisted. So what I had to do was cut the strap and put one of those cleats like you have on clothing and tents and backpacks, and put one of them in, so you could undo it and reverse the strap. Anyway, it lasted me for years, but it's getting a bit old and knackered now, and all my old straps in the meantime, the holes are all too big, so they're all dangerous. So I thought, I need a strap with like quick locks, and I found these D'Addario things. I'll put a close-up in, these D'Addario things, which have been on the market for quite a while. I just never looked at them. Down at Anderton's. They're really, really simple. I'll do a close-up. They literally, you just slide it onto the guitar, slide it on, it clicks, and it's locked. That's it. And the beauty of these, of course, is that because of the way they work, you don't need to reverse them. They just automatically go on the way they do. So there's no reversing involved. So I thought, God, I love this strap so much. It was about 20 quid. I just bought a boring black one, but they come in lots of colours if you want them. You can see them on the websites and stuff. So I thought, wow, it's a great strap. Fantastic. I thought, I wish I could use my old straps. And then I thought, well, why don't I get in touch with D'Addario, write them a nice letter, you know, nice, polite English bloke, saying, look, I'm terribly sorry, I know it's a bit of an imposition, but I wonder if you could see your way clear to sending me a box of those, of the end bits, because I've got a whole load of straps that I'd like to resuscitate. And I was in the middle of doing that when I found online, nearly went there, bull nearly had me, when I found these little things. Again, you know, it just looks like a little plastic cleat, right? This is not like a Grolsch bottle opener, rubber washer, which is one thing people use. They're quite successful. And if you don't like the red ones, you can even buy packets of black ones for about £2 online. So they're good too. But this is much more dedicated. This is a clip that basically does the same thing. It clips onto the guitar like that. It's now clipped on. So what you do is you put an ordinary strap on first, and then you put this over it and just clip it on, and it locks the strap. And it's even got a little channel to hold your cable. But I wouldn't recommend using that, because the channel that holds the cable is A, quite narrow, so none of my cables fit in it, they're all too thick, And if you put the cable in it, what you do is you actually dislodge the locking bit. So I wouldn't use the cable grip, frankly. I don't think that's very worthwhile. But you always tuck your cable into behind the strap, like you do, yeah? And of course, because the strap's locked on, so here we go, pop it on at this end. It's a little bit trickier at this end, but you can do it. Here we go, it's locked on. Because the strap's locked on, the cable isn't going to push the strap out. So, 2 solutions in a week that mean I've now got a lockability on all my old straps, as well as a new locking strap that's black and straightforward and clean and cheap and does the job. So I'll put close-ups of all these and maybe links as to where you can find them, because it may be that some of you have got the same problem. You love your old straps, but they've all got a bit, the grips have got a bit worn out and they're just not very reliable. And you're dropping your guitars, which is a bad thing. So there you go, a little accessory recommendation and a little quick review of this amazing, cheap, super clean, you know, never been touched, about 2014 Squier Cabronita Telecaster. These pickups are not available for sale unless you buy this guitar, so they're quite sought after. Maybe they're a bit dark, maybe not. Maybe I should actually invest in a set of, you know, proper maybe T.B. Jones's or one of my, you know, British winder friends' boutique stuff. I might try a set of posh pickups in here and see how much difference it makes. And if it makes a lot of difference, well, I'll hold on to them. But I have to say, on the basis of the 2 gigs this guitar's done so far, and the work that I've just done, you know, practicing in here, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I would say, if anything, the neck pickup is probably a little bit muddy, a little bit dark. So obviously Ramon's boost helps because that lifts the brightness, cuts the bottom very slightly. But you know, generally speaking, I mean, for, you know, to give this guitar a bill of health at the price point, it's amazing. And once I get used to it, it'll get probably more amazing. So, you know, this will be a regular gigging guitar, no conscience, no worries. So, I hope you've enjoyed that. And the ball tried to bite me once, but it hasn't quite succeeded. But I could fall over at any time. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please keep watching. I've been thrilled by the numbers, and please keep watching. Please subscribe, all that malarkey. And I will see you very soon. Ramon and I are recording another video about Les Pauls very shortly, so this is going in the meantime. But hey, enjoy it while I've got a flush of things to talk about on video, eh? Okay? Until next time, thanks for watching. See ya. Goodbye.